conditional dreams. We've talked about this before, but we have to talk about this because it's just too funny and interesting.
What do you mean by conditional dreams?
Dreams in which you can do things that you can't do normally, but in a dream you can if you perform a certain like ritual or like, let me give an example. In some dreams, I'm able to fly, but it's only like in a weird jumping kind of way where like if I jump too high, then I could just keep kind of up in the air. Or there's one dream where I had a condition where I could levitate, but I had to be perfectly parallel to the ground. And so
I'm laughing because I basically have had those dreams.
I remember yours, but
you
I
could only do this.
Yeah.
And with flying specifically.
Yeah. I remember, tell yours after I'm done, but like the one where I could levitate, I remembered because I fell down and I was like, whoom, I stopped and I was suspended right above the ground like this. I was like, I bet if I just like tip my head forward, that I'll keep moving forward. And I was like this far off the ground, but then I just like moved forward and just kind of kept floating. And I remember thinking, I didn't want to get up because then I'd stop floating, but it wasn't very high off the ground. And so I remember like blowing off the ground to get some distance. And then I remember got to like these stairs and I was like, I don't know how to go up these stairs because if I tip, then my feet will touch the ground and I'll be. And so what I did is I
love these arbitrary rules.
I like floated like this and I went woo, 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 woo. up the stairs like
got him.
Yeah, it was so ridiculous, but you go ahead and tell yours.
Well, conditions for flying. I've had a few things. So I would always have the ability to levitate if I essentially tucked my legs up underneath my butt as if I was sitting cross-legged on a chair. So my head parallel to the ground when it hasn't changed. I pick those up and I can levitate at that level, no problem at any condition. I have that ability. I have that ability no one else has.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think like most people, you can't jump or fly too high because you'll just keep going and you can't stop. That's a rule.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember one dream. This is not a normal thing in my dreams. Remember one dream, like printers, they have that tray, the area where the paper is supposed to come out. It's like a recession in the top.
This is the one I remember.
Did I tell you this one?
Yeah.
In order to fly, you had to take a foosball and you had to drop it in that tray and let it dribble at the bottom as if it was like a coin in a dispenser. And then you'd watch the LED display. This is like back in black and white LED. That would put up a signal indicating that it accepted your pain or whatever. And then you could go fly for like a certain amount of time. So I ran outside to go quick get some flying time, man. Like, oh, my flying stopped. I get back downstairs and just okay, it's good.
Yeah. Please insert foosball in the foosball dispenser or receptor or whatever. Receptacle. Whatever. That's so funny.
But oops, I did it again.
Dribble. It's like yes, and then just fly away. That's so funny.
I'm hoping people who hear this go like, yes, arbitrary flying, like you can fly, but only if you do this.
Oh gosh, my sister when we were talking about this as a family, she goes, I could fly, but I could only do it if I flap my arms violently. You can imagine my sister.
Yes.
So funny. That one made me laugh.
You know what's really hard is like flying very quickly. You have to fly at a very slow, concentrated pace. You can't just take off to another house like quick. You couldn't do that. I could never do that. Could you do that?
Okay, so I could fly really fast, but if I did, my eyes would always water, and I'd wake up if I flew too at something. I'd wake up and my eyes would be dripping water. Like that was the interesting thing. It's because like,
but it was a caveat. You're not allowed to.
Like you can imagine sticking your head out the window while you're driving, and like the water is making your eyes tear up. Like there's just like streams going like this. I would wake up and my eyes would be super. It looked like I was crying, but I was like, that was fun. No, I could go pretty fast. Usually if I was floating, though, it was like you have to maintain this same pace because if you go too fast or too slow, you'll tip and fall and you won't be able to fly anymore.
Yeah.
But the jumping ones were my favorite because I remember I'd like jump in the air and then I would use the walls to like push myself forward. And because I'm basically just floating at that point. But you can move yourself with the momentum and push yourself around
now
like
that
a
I think
balloon.
about it, it's almost like flying was a low gravity thing. It wasn't necessarily free control movement in the air. It's like once you've got momentum, you got to find a way to control it by like pushing off a wall or something.
And it's fun. It feels
like fun, but it's very limiting.
It feels like you're a balloon. Like you just kind of My grandma said she had a dream where she said I had this one dream where I blew up like a balloon and I was floating in the air, and then everybody started playing with me and pushing me around. That one made me laugh too. I was like, you guys kept bouncing me around the room. Like, oh man, I hope you don't feel like we bounce you around the room. Oh, that was so funny to me.
So when you said conditional dreams, flying, was that an example?
Mm-hmm. That's one example. There's so many, like I've had ones where I could breathe underwater, but that was just because.
So I remember
What?
I've like a dream where like I'm underwater and I go, oh no, I can't breathe underwater. I was like, but I've been breathing underwater this whole time, so I guess I can breathe underwater and then I'm fine.
Yeah.
You know?
Uh-huh.